Hey, this is Brett, Swafford Homestead. Somebody mentioned the way I planted my tomatoes the other day, and I thought I'd do the video over again. I'll make one for 2021. I made one in 2020. But I'm going to do it a little bit different this year, but not much. I couldn't get compost at the local Walmarts. Well, we call it local. It's 30-something, 25, 30 miles away, but that's local to us. But I was looking through their bags. They had everything but compost, everything but organic humus, manure, but they had all kinds of garden soil. They have a bag called Expert Gardener, 2.2 or 2 cubic feet. It's $6, I think, for the bag. And the majority of the ingredient in it is compost. It had a few other things in it, but got a little bit of fertilizer and mostly compost. I thought, well, it ain't much higher than buying compost, and I sure can't drive anywhere to get it. If you do buy compost in this town, or in the other end of the county, it's $3 to $3.29 a bag. So while I was there, I just picked up a couple bags of the Expert Gardener garden soil. Now I'm starting it in with a tiller. That's my first step. My next step's going to be digging a trench, because I plant my tomatoes in a trench. There'll be 20 to 25 tomatoes in here, depending on how I set them. But I'll turn the camera back on the next step. Alright, we're back on the tomato planting again. The sun's starting to set, a little cooler. Got above 80 today. I think it was 80 or 85, 82, 85. It got pretty hot. For April, I think that's pretty hot. Considering it was down the 30s last night and 80s today. Who knows what to do tonight. I've got my tomatoes laid out. You notice they are laying on the side. And for those that interested in the drip tape I bought, you can see I've got it laid in there. It's going to be kind of to the side of the tomatoes instead of under it. I want the water to bubble up and go all the way around them. But I didn't want to dig any deeper than I already have. That's the reason I lay them down, because the clay is going to get really hard. If you remember, I did mix compost in with this. Started it with a tiller. So if you look really close, you can see the dark spots. It's not started in completely, but it's in there pretty good. You can see a little extra every once in a while. But I started burying these just to give an idea. I started putting a little dirt over them. I'm going to pull the tape down beside it and put a little dirt on the tape as I go. After I get a thin layer over all of this, a thin layer of dirt, I've got some potting. I got some peat moss. Let me get it right. I'm going to put some peat moss on top, kind of make a wet barrier. It'll help hold water. It'll help keep the dirt soft, keep the top from packing down so hard on it. But every time it rains, this clay is going to tighten up, and every time the sun shines, it's going to harden up. It'll get like concrete before it's over with, if you don't put something in the hole with it. While I'm putting the peat moss, that'll be when I add my fertilizer too. Now last year I used when azomite, it was like it was a rock dust, along with my fertilizer and my Epsom salt, my compost, and I had a good mix. You can go back and watch my video last year's. This way I plant them every year. Minus the drip tape, that's a new thing. We've used soaker hoses for years on top. Soak the ground on top, let it sink down to it. This time we're going to run the drip tape beside it and see if we can't soak the whole trench. That's another good use of this trench. Everything around this trench is going to harden up really hard. The trench should stay a little softer with all the compost and all the potting soil and the stuff around the plants and the peat moss, and it should be like a little canal, more or less, for the water. Keep these tomato plants more water when it gets really hot. Sorry, I was kicking at something. Can't help myself. That's the plan. I'm going to turn the camera back on when I get it all done, and I'll show you the final result here. I got to get the berry and the sun's going down. Well, I finally got them all in the row. I laid the tape kind of beside them, laid them all down, buried them, and tried to pitch them up a little bit. Of course, I've wet them down. Wetting them down is going to make them lay down. The water's going to make them heavy. But in a day or two, they'll raise up. If they're any good at all, they'll stand right back up and go up straight. The sun will make a difference in them. Now, as far as this drip tape business, it's my first time. I know I probably did it wrong somehow, but I realized when I was unrolling my roll that they turned the emitters up. It's got two lines, two white lines in this black hose. See if I can see it down here. But they turned the emitters out, so when you rolled it out, it naturally, when you turned the emitters upside down, the emitters are supposed to be up. Now I put a end with a cap on it on each one of these. That was part of the kit, the original kit. I've ordered a few more parts after I looked through it. It's my son's dogs, my daughter's dogs, and son's dog is barking at something. They just can't help themselves. I noticed when I rolled it out, it'd flip upside down, so you got to be careful if you try this stuff. Make sure the emitters are up. A little aggravating just to roll out. I've noticed on another company that their roll is turned automatically to roll right out. Drip depot tape is not. You can see it better up here. Can't hardly spot that emitter. It's got dirt in it, but that's one right there. There should be another one right in there. But the emitter has a little tiny blue dot to it. But here in a day or two, when they all stand up, I'll show you what they look like again. And as they stand up, I can add the peat moss and the fertilizer and this extra roll of dirt you see down each side. I'll slowly close it in and hill them up. After I get all the dirt on top and get them the way I want them, I'm going to straw them and put some ground cover over them. They'll be ready to go to about July, maybe the 1st of August if we're lucky, if it'll last that long. These have been Heirloom Tomatoes. These are the Abe Lincoln. They don't hold up really well to the hot weather. But I'll show you what they look like in a day or two. Well, it's been a few days. The tomato plants are starting to raise up. These was a little leggy, and about 2 days after I put these out, it come one heck of a storm. It beat them down pretty bad. Now I lost a few out of this, but I got some plenty, I realize now, way too close together, because I done it after work. I done it right before dark, kind of like I'm out here now. The time I got done, I couldn't tell you what was in front of me. It was the sun had done set. But as they raise up, I put a little dirt under them. Eventually they will stand. These are a little slower because it's a little cooler at night. It's getting down around 40 at night. Taking them a little while to get standing. But you can see the difference in green. From the top of it to where I planted it, it was more of a light green when I planted it. They are definitely changing. But as they grow, you pull the dirt to them, put the fertilizer down. You can see the water for the drip tapes coming through. Yeah, you can see the wet spots where the drip tapes under it. I believe the drip tape will be good. I've got a few issues with the drip tape. I wanted to talk about it right quick because this is kind of a drip tape and planting tomato thing. I laid my main line right at the top of the garden, up here in the woody stuff. Some of my lines is a little long, some of them's a little short. I just kind of guessed the other day. A few more tips on the drip line. It comes in a roll, of course, if you get it in a box. But you need to take it out while it's warm out, lay it in the sun and stretch it out. Because it's really aggravating if you take it straight out of the box. I had to pull this out and you can see chunks of block sitting on top of it. I had to stretch it out a little at a time. You can see pieces of block sitting on it, rock. This one came up a little short. I can't make 3 rolls in here with a 100-foot piece, because even cutting the rolls down to 30-something feet, I still got a foot too long over there and 3 or 4 feet too short over here, but it was close. When I get done laying the rest of the drip lines, I've got some fittings I ordered. I went back and ordered some extras where I can tie the drip line together. If I have 2 short pieces, I'll make a long one. So I'm going to stretch that and back out, but just to get it hooked up today. Of course, I had a video about planting beans. This is my bean row, my other bean row over there. And another thing on the drip line, while I'm thinking of it, let me see if I can find a fitting. This drip line kit from Drip Depot, it came with all the fittings, put the main line together, the drip line together. It's got a regulator there. It's got a fitting from the main line to the regulator. The regulator's a white piece. The long, narrow black piece is actually a filter. It came with it. It's got the vacuum breaker at the end of it, which I've got one on my frost-free hydrant under the house, but I went ahead and put it on there anyway. What it did not come with is this last little black and yellow piece at the end, and that's quick connect. You need one of them with this. If you're going to unhook the hose and use it for other things, you need a quick connect. You can buy them at Walmart. By this time here or here soon, according to what area you're in, they'll have garden hoses and fittings and all kinds of things in a roll, and it's called Expert Gardener Quick Connect. I can grab this one. I always buy a couple every year because something will happen to one of them or the other. But the Expert Gardener 4-piece Quick Connect set. It's got 2 different setups in it. One's got a check valve, one don't. You can actually hook a couple of hoses together with it. It's got enough fittings in there to do something like that. You can quick connect hoses together. But I wanted one on here because I use this hose for a lot of things. I add another and I go to my second garden, where I take this one off, and I've got a pump over here on my rain catchment. I've got a video about it. I pump rainwater to this. Well, I hope y'all have a good weekend. Hope you enjoyed the video. Take care. God bless.